Alright, so what's up everybody? So in response to the last video I put out, I had a couple of good responses so far. So anyway, I am on my way to dirt road here next to my house, and on the way we'll go over how I approach dirt roads. Specifically gravel. Like when I say dirt, I'm talking about a chert gravel road. Dirt itself, if you actually had like a full-on dirt road without much gravel on it, technically you could probably ride it really similar to asphalt or concrete. Like, it's kind of like, it just depends on the surface, but for the most part, dirt, hard packed and pretty smooth, actually has really good traction. If you don't believe that, find a local flat track dirt race to enter. Most of them have stock classes, and go ride one of them. You'll be surprised at just how much traction you have. But anyway, so everything kind of pertains to the surface. So when I say a dirt road, I'm referring to what you're going to see, which is a chert gravel road. It's pretty loose on top, so my strategy for that is ride pretty timidly as far as the lean angle of the bike. You can't lean, you can't treat it like it's concrete or asphalt. So with that in mind, if you attempt your corners without actually drastically leaning the bike like you would on pavement, and counter steering, and really pitching the bike in, then that kind of checks your speed for you. So if you don't know the road, there's a corner coming up. If you approach that corner, with the mindset that you're going to go around it so slowly that you're not really going to lean the bike very far, then that's just a speed check. So it's very hard for you to then overshoot this corner because you approached it with that mindset. So that's the way I ride dirt roads that I either A, have never ridden before, or B, have blind corners where you just can't see that far around it to know how sharp it is. A lot of the dirt roads that I ride, as soon as you cross into Tennessee, most of them are single dirt roads. Like when passing vehicles go to pass, they have to kind of get in the ditch on either side. So if the road's really tight, and if it's really tight in a single dirt road like that, then it also usually has two distinct tracks with a hump in the middle. So you can't really waver that much, and that sometimes can help you or hurt you. But let's assume you know the dirt road. Like the dirt road I'm about to get on here in just a second, I know it pretty well. So for that reason, I wouldn't ride as slowly. I would pick up my pace a little bit. I mean, I know the road, so nothing's going to sneak up on me. So if I know the road, nothing's going to sneak up on me. I'm not going to ride as timidly. I'm going to, pick up the pace. I'm going to lean the bike a little further than I might normally otherwise. So then I would say, it's hard to say there's a right and a wrong, or it's one way or the highway kind of deal. But let's get our bearings here. I'm going to say, I was in third. So third gear, as you can see, this is a pretty rough road, so I'm going to stand up. At least right there at the beginning, the gravel does get a little smaller and smooth out, but still, I'm not really leaning that hard. And you might say, well, you're not going that fast either. You're right, I'm not 30 miles an hour. Doesn't mean I can't go faster, but in Alabama, every road that's not posted, that's a county road, is 45. I just want to check this out real quick. Oh, this is way better than it used to be. So yeah, anyway, every road in Alabama's county road 45. And like on this section right here, I know I can run 45. It's a little wider, no real off camber. This is about 40. And standing up, sitting down, if you're comfortable putting a foot down, go for it. But I kind of advise from putting a foot down, and the reason why is because if you put your feet down, it almost you end up treating right hand turns and left hand turns separately. So I just came around that turn, it was a right hand turn, I didn't put my foot down. If I do put my foot down, I do not have control over the back brake. So my advice would be to treat right-handers and left-handers the same. So if you get in the habit of putting a foot down, then you're most likely not going to put a foot down on right-hand turns. It's just the way it is. If you're more comfortable putting a foot down, I would say probably go for putting a foot down on right-hand turns as well as left-hand. Still don't treat them separately. I mean, if you're making a right-hand turn and you got your foot down and you're quick, you can downshift and get off the clutch and slow yourself that way, but it's not as controlled as the back brake. So regardless, I would say handle right-handers and left-handers the same. If you're more comfortable sitting and putting a foot down, do it. I would also say don't get fixed on one thing. Get comfortable maybe standing, get comfortable sitting, maybe get comfortable putting your feet out, maybe not, in due time with enough practice and riding. Because it also kind of varies on the surface. Like if this turn right here it's a right-hand turn from the way I came in, if it was banked higher on the left, then maybe I would sit down and put a foot down and really hammer on the throttle if I was just trying to have fun. But, so it's kind of depends on the situation. So I would say there's definitely no for sure right way or wrong way. There's definitely no for sure foot down, foot not down. It's just whatever's comfortable. You should probably give it all a shot, kind of deal. And just see what's most comfortable for you. And then once you get comfortable with that, whatever method that is, then you can maybe venture out from there and practice whatever you're not most comfortable at. Now, I, for one, do not push that hard on dirt. Even dirt roads that I know. If there's a straight section, sure, we can blast down the straight section, but as someone who has wrecked on pavement before, and as someone who has wrecked on gravel before, neither are fun. I would take, honestly, pavement over gravel. I mean, just going down right here and sliding to a stop from 30, I honestly think I would take pavement. You're going to get eat up the same both, but at least on pavement there's a lot less to pick out of the wound, I guess. I don't know, I've never wrecked as bad on gravel as I have on pavement. So see, like right there, I knew the turn, but I was still maybe going a touch fast. So since I'm leaning to the right, I could have got my right foot on the brake, but I opted to downshift and come straight off the clutch and kind of check my speed a little bit that way. Nothing wrong with that as long as you're confident you're not going to lock up the rear Now straight sections like this, I usually have no problem sitting down. This is a pretty smooth section of the dirt road through here. Almost no gravel compared to what we just come through. Gravel's a lot smaller, and we're running 50, almost 50, 48. So just kind of let the bike move. Similar to sand in that sense. If the front and the rear aren't trailing each other perfect, it's not a huge deal. Again, here, the goal is to get around the corner without leaning the bike. Trying to lean the bike as little as possible. And the reason I do that is if you're riding a road that you're not familiar with, and you just are overconfident on gravel, so you're just like, I know I can lean in whatever this far comfortably, no problem at these speeds. What happens when you shoot the turn long? Then you naturally want to lean even further, and you're already leaned as far as you can go. So if you're real timid and your goal is to go around these corners with as little lean as possible one way or the other, then the result is when you do run one wide, you've got a little left in the reserve tank, as far as lean, if that makes sense. And again, it forces you to check your speed at the gate, kind of. So, I don't know, there's my thoughts, my opinions on riding dirt roads, gravel roads, mainly gravel. If you were on an actual dirt surface, you'd be even banked or not banked, you would have a lot more control than you do on gravel. You see here, I just kind of let the bike move around however it wants. Like I said, not nearly as bad as riding through sand, as far as the front and the rear not trailing each other perfectly, but you just kind of let it go with the flow, real loose grip, like squeezing a tube of toothpaste with the cap off, and your goal is for nothing to come out. That's about the grip you want to use. I'd say once you get up above that 40-ish mark to 50 mark, depending again on the road surface, I definitely like to stand up and really lowers the center of gravity. Hope you can still hear me. Really lowers the center of gravity of the bike and helps make it stable on those long straight sections if you're really letting it eat. Running up there around 55, 60 mark right there. And when standing, no matter what the terrain, when standing, I always would recommend, thank you, skid plate. I would definitely always recommend you locking the heel of your boot, assuming that the shoe or the boot that you're wearing has a heel on it. That's one of the things. If you're going to try to get aggressive and pitch the rear end, I would definitely say sit down and put the foot out. Just throw that out there real quick. That's how I do it. That don't necessarily mean it's right, but it does feel more comfortable to me. But anyway, when standing like this, I would definitely recommend you hook the heel of your boot on the peg. Do not stand on the balls of your feet. You can't reach the shifter. You can't reach the brake pedal. It's just, I don't think it's a good habit to fall into. So with that in mind, I would simply advise you to not do it. Also, once you kind of get used to and more comfortable riding on dirt roads, I would say, maybe do play with it a little bit, especially on straight sections. Kind of wrap on it a little bit and see, just how much traction you've got and don't have, and maybe slide the rear end a little bit. I don't advocate practicing that much on gravel roads, things that you're not comfortable with, because like I said earlier, at this exact same section of the road, actually, if you go down on gravel, man, is it going to suck. I would just about take pavement over gravel. So it's not the perfect playground by any means, but if you're in a safe environment, you've got the proper gear on, which I really do not today, then at least practice maybe aggressively applying the rear brake or doing a quick downshift and letting off the clutch, just to get familiar with how much traction you would have on your exact bike with your exact tire setup and your exact weight. And because it's kind of different for everybody, and the surfaces are so different from each other. A gravel road in North or South Carolina may be drastically different than a gravel road here in North Alabama. So, with that in mind, just be careful. The surfaces aren't the same. Not everybody's running the same tire. So, all good things to be mindful of when riding gravel roads.